What's up, guys? I'm Thomas.
And I'm Jack.
And this is Thomas and Jack Do Movies. In this video, we're going to do like a double feature kind of. We're going to be reviewing two comics that we both just read, and we actually unbagged these in our unbagging video that may or may not be out yet. But we found these in a bag, and we were like, hey, heck with it. Let's read them and review them. So since our reviews probably aren't going to be that long, we're just going to smash it and make one 5-10 minute video. Who knows?
Yeah.
So...
But while he's doing his review on his comic, I'm just gonna step out.
Yeah.
And he's gonna do his thing, and then I'll
come in and do yours. So I feel like I'm talking into a mic, like I'm recording something audio. Okay. So this is gonna be my review on the Green Arrow and the Green Lantern comic. This is a comic series that led up. I think there were 46 of Green Arrow and Green Lantern comics that led up to this one. This was 47, and then they split up and made a 48. So it picks up right where a Green Arrow comic ends. And I think it's really cool. So I'm just going to kind of go through the good and the bad. And there's really no mixed because it's hard to find mixed in a short comic like this. You know, as you can see, that's not very thick. So first things first is the good. Now, the good, you have the team up. Just the nostalgia of seeing the two DC's green characters, the Green Arrow and the Green Lantern, team up. Like, the video may or may not be out yet, but when we took this out, I went ecstatic just seeing this. It's just the nostalgia of seeing those two characters right next to each other. So the team up is enough to make this comic good. But then you have the villains. And I think there's two villains from what I could tell. It was kind of hard to tell because I hadn't read the past issues, but I'll talk about that later. But there were two villains, and originally there's one, then a twist happens and there's two. But I think it's really cool because the two villains are both really solid. I didn't get to see any of their character development, but there was enough development in this comic for me to understand what was going on. And I feel like that's good because if, you know, a kid goes to a comic book store and picks up this comic just because he sees the nostalgia of these two characters on here, hasn't read any past comic, I think he should be able to kind of get a sense of what's going on. And I was able to without reading the past issues. So next up is the twists and the good. The twists in this comic are really, really good because it's like this villain shows up and he's destroying the Green Lantern, and then Carol, dang it, what's her name? Green Lantern's girlfriend. It's something that starts with an F. I can't remember the last name. Carol something, right? Dang it, I cannot remember the last name. But they both, it turns out that was her dad. So one of the villains was her dad. Jack just went, what? One of the villains is her dad. And then later it turns out that her mom's alive. And I actually have seen the comic where her mom's dead. So when she showed up, I was like, oh, that's neat. Of course, no one ever dies in comic books. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. But that was also really cool. And then next up in good is the chemistry between the Green Arrow and the Green Lantern. Now, I know I haven't read the past issues, but I know enough about these two characters to know their personality. Oliver Queen is a funny, joke-cracking, hilarious character who's not very like dark and edgy like this TV show depicts him to be. But that's what he's in the comics. Hal Jordan, on the other hand, is kind of the same way, but he also is very immature. Like, Green Arrow is mature, but he still has that funny sort of feel. Hal Jordan isn't mature. This is the comic book where he really kind of starts to mature. And I thought that was really cool. And their chemistry was hilarious. Like, there are multiple points in the comic book where, you know, Hal Jordan will say something in Green Arrow and his sarcastic hilariousness will just be like, gee, thanks. Like, here's something that Green Lantern says. So they're back to back, and they're like, Green Arrow or Green Lantern goes, get ready, Arrow, and Green Lantern's like, thanks for the tip, no crap, you know. It's really funny, the chemistry between the two characters. And the next good thing is the fights. The fights are really good. Like comic books that can be kind of hard to follow, but they did this really well. Like the fights in here are drawn great and done really good. Now, next up is the bad. So there's only one thing that's bad, and it's not really even the comic's fault. It's my fault. It's the fact that I haven't read the past issues. Because there are some things that happen where I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. But that, that's kind of the only thing that's bad about the comic, and it's not even something that's bad about the comic. It's something that, I just didn't know. So, yeah, you guys, thanks for watching that review, and Jack is going to do his. We're going to cut to Jack's review right now.
So, I'm going to be reviewing Thunderstrike. I thought this looked really interesting, and when we unboxed it, we were like, well, is this Thor? I mean, he has the 4 deals on his chest that, instead of 9, because it's supposed to represent the 9 realms, and that's what Thor wears. And then, of course, that's not Mjolnir. It turns out to be Thunderstrike. But... so I wanted to read it. So I did, and unlike Thomas's comic, I didn't really have to read past comics to know what was really going on. This is pretty much just its own story, and it gives backstory to what happened before he took over the mantle as Thor. Or not as Thor, but as the guy who's like Thor. Except for his name. I still don't know the guy's name. I started it off and I'm like, I want to know this guy's name. And he actually mentions wanting to figure out a cool name, a cool superhero name, but he never does. And so that plot line kind of goes nowhere. And so I still want to know the guy's name. But the title is Thunderstrike because of his hammer that Thor gives him, and it's actually just a stick, and that's what this character thought it was. It was just a stick. And then Thor was like, tap it on the ground, and he taps it, and it's kind of like a Shazam thing where he just turns into the Thor-like character. And that's something that kind of aggravates him is people call him Thor, and they think he's Thor because he looks a lot like him, but he's not. And he's like, I'm not Thor. Why do they keep calling me Thor? But yeah, the story's pretty good too. It's not as big a scale a story as some of the others, but it's just about car thieves. And at first you think it's just about small car thieves that want to, steal fancy cars and, tear them down and sell the parts and everything. And then this one guy, you don't think he's anything, but he gets his fancy car stolen and he gets beat up and everything. And it turns out that he's his supervillain name is Blood Axe, I think. That's his name. But he wears a red suit and he has an axe, and I guess it's a special axe, kind of like Mjolnir is a special hammer, So I wasn't expecting that at all for him, this guy who just got beat up, to be the main villain. But he goes and tries to get revenge for his stolen car and everything, and he just turns into this mad guy. They kind of mentioned that he's fought Thor before, and so he goes up against, I'm just going to call him Thunderstrike, but he goes up against Thunderstrike, and he's not near as good as Thor in fighting. So he's like, what's your deal, man? You suck. You're terrible. What's going on? But something eventually beats him, and Thunderstrike doesn't even know what beat him, but it was like an explosion, and it scared it scared Blood Axe off, and nobody knows what it was or anything. So that's just kind of when it ends. And I thought it was a really fun, entertaining comic to read, and I don't read many, so yeah, it was a good time. So that was my review on the Thunderstrike comic. Ooh. Alright, so hope you enjoyed the video. Please like this video, share it around, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you never miss out on the 3 R's, reviews, rankings, and reactions. So yeah, see you next time when Thomas and Jack do movies. Peace out.
Goodbye.
Hey guys, so I'm gonna review this comic that I thought.
No! I just saw that in the camera. I look up in real life and it's just.
Okay.
Restart.
That'll be a blooper or something. I don't know. Anyway.